WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Streaming live on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY. Here's JB Buno.
Carvana customers say they're buying cars but not receiving perhaps the most important part of the car purchase, the title itself. Customers who say they better call banking after the online car dealer routinely continues to delay title delivery or not deliver the title at all. Hey there, folks. JB Buno here with you live on WFLA Now with 8 on your side. Investigator Shannon Benkin there on the right side of your screen. You can use hashtag AJB, hashtag Shannon, as you know, as we do on WFLA Now. Let's talk about this for a second, because moments before we were going to begin this stream, Shannon got a bit of a breaking news update. Shannon's been on this story now for a long time, right, Shannon? It's been a good amount, months. Months of pursuing this story, and just minutes ago, we get this news that the state of Florida is filing a complaint against Carvana.
That's right, JB, and I'm still digesting this and going through this administrative complaint, preparing our story for tonight. But just yesterday, Mike Fasano there that you see on your screen, the tax collector in Pasco County, he called for the state to take action against Carvana and to, enforce the laws that we have here in the state of Florida that says that you have to have your title within 30 days when you purchase a vehicle. And then today, we get news that this action has just been filed today, an administrative complaint from the state of Florida against Carvana, taking action over these missing, delayed titles.
And this is an investigation now that is going to be, an investigation for us, Shannon, at WFLA. This now has escalated to receiving state attention, and it's because of all the stories that you have been doing and bringing it to the attention of officials locally who are then taking it to the state level. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, I want to be clear. We had uncovered in a similar administrative complaint when we first started working on this investigation in the Jacksonville area, and the state of Florida filed a complaint. There was a hearing held. Carvana had decided then to settle that complaint, and they paid a fine of $6,000. Part of our reporting was showing that for Carvana, $6,000 fine, that's not much for that company that does that kind of business.
Right.
And so Mike Fasano was saying, I think that the state of Florida needs to do more. This is another administrative complaint, very similar to the one that we reported on in Jacksonville. But what happens with that, what they do with that, remains a mystery. There's a lot more eyes on this issue now, and the state is definitely taking a deeper look, a deeper dive into the records, because we keep telling people when they have this problem, call the state of Florida, file your complaint, and they are filing it. So complaints are filing up, and people like Mike Fasano are noticing, and they're calling for action.
All right, so we're going to hear from Mike Fasano here, and then we're going to break down exactly what this all means. There's probably a lot of folks out there that are a little bit confused. Maybe if you haven't seen Shannon's reporting over the last several months, you're a little bit confused. Let's hear from Fasano, and then we'll break down exactly what's going on here in Florida.
The state told her, well, they're understaffed. It seems like they're giving Carvana a pass.
That is unacceptable. You do not give a dealer, I don't care whether it's Carvana or the local Ford or Chevy dealer, they should not get a pass.
As Pasco County tax tax collector Mike Fasano there speaking to Shannon Benkin, who joins us here live, everybody on WFLA now. So first and foremost, there's some folks out there who maybe never heard of Carvana. Let's just explain what Carvana is. Carvana is an online car dealer, and they have become popular here in the Tampa Bay area and Shannon, a lot of other areas across the country, as far as just not having to go through the stressful process of purchasing a car from a dealer, or what has by reputation become what some perceive as a stressful process when you go into a car dealership, just to buy your car online as you would do any other item online, purchasing a vehicle online. But Carvana running into some problems here with titles in particular.
That's right. You can hardly turn on your television set now without seeing an ad for Carvana.
Right.
They have commercials everywhere. It's a nationwide company. They have several different locations throughout the country, and they're known for those big vending machines. You may see one. There's one here in the Tampa Bay area near the mall in Brandon. So it's the car vending machine. It's pretty cool. You know, a lot of people are like, hey, this is a new way to buy a car. People are attracted to this, particularly during a pandemic, because you don't have to go in and haggle with anybody, so it was safer. So Carvana saw their stock prices go through the roof during the pandemic.
There's the vending machine in the center of our screen there.
Yeah, there's the vending machine. Looks pretty cool. And the thing here is that's good if you're buying a car is that they bring the car to you. So you buy it online. There's no haggling. They bring it to your driveway, and you're done. You should be done. But the problem is a lot of people are finding that they get this temporary tag that we all get when we buy a new car typically. It's supposed to be 30 days. You have that tag for 30 days. Within that 30 days, you get your permanent one. People are not getting the permanent one. In Florida, you're supposed to get it within 30 days, and dealers can give you a second temporary tag, but only one. So 2 tags total. Folks are getting tags over and over again, and we have uncovered that Carvana is getting tags from other states to give to people. For example, people are getting tags from Arizona because they can get a 90-day tag from Arizona. Not supposed to do that in Florida. We've uncovered people getting pulled over by police driving around in these Arizona tags that they're not supposed to have.
I have a bunch of comments coming in. Again, use hashtag HJB, hashtag HShannon, but I want to start here with this one from Michael Keene in our social media comment section. Hello there, Michael. Thanks for filing in your comment. And it says, hashtag HJB, this is happening all over the country, not just Florida. Is that true? Is what Michael's saying true? Yeah. Is it not a problem that's not exclusive to Florida?
It's absolutely true. And we found that, different states are handling this differently. North Carolina, for example, had suspended Carvana's license in the county that Raleigh is in. They put them on probation in another county in North Carolina for doing the exact same thing. And when I got the administrative complaint that state had, there were only a couple of people listed on there, a couple customers that had this issue. Here in Florida, we are having, customer after customer after customer, dozens of reports of this happening to folks. And the only thing that happened so far was the administrative complaint out of the Jacksonville area fining Carvana $6,000. Since then, complaints have continued to roll in, so that just shows that didn't really stop them from continuing this practice. We have found that people are complaining in Texas, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee. And since I started reporting this, a lot of folks who are having this issue all over the country, you go to Google, you're looking for help, you put it in, you see my story. So people are contacting me from other states wanting to know what to do as well. And in different states, different administrations are dealing with it differently.
Let's get some more of the comments that are coming in. Hello, YouTube. Hope everyone's having a good pre-Thanksgiving Wednesday. Shannon Benkin, JB Buno here with you live, everybody on WFLA now out of Tampa, Florida. Let's get some of the comments that have come in. David Britton, hashtag KJB. I see this with lots of dealers. Now, is this a problem? Title problems? I mean, when I've only bought a car, and you only buy a car so many times in your life. Some people will go through cars a lot. I'm not one of them. But if you buy a car, I want the title right then and there. I don't want a temporary title. So for Carvana, clearly changing up how you purchase a car, and like Liz saying hashtag KJB, who would buy an expensive item like a car like this? Well, as Shannon was noting, during the pandemic, there are people that would prefer to buy their car from, it's a very 2021 thing to buy a car from a vending machine, but there are people that would prefer to do it that way rather than the traditional way. But you have a problem with car titles. So back to David's comment, seeing this with a lot of dealers, according to David, is this a problem that that is prevalent amongst car dealers in general, or is this exclusive to a dealer like Carvana, or is this exclusive, Shannon, to just online car dealers in general?
Well, I asked Mike Fasano that yesterday. He's a tax collector in Pasco County, and the reason I was talking to him is because I was working on a story about a woman in Pasco County who's having this issue, and the tax collector's office, they're responsible for facilitating the processing of your title. He says they do see this from time to time with other dealers. It's not an isolated thing to Carvana, but the amount of times it's happening is definitely unique. Sometimes this happens with dealers, but he says typically, they don't get away with it. If you have a local dealership, Mike Fasano would call that local dealership and ask them what's going on. They file a complaint with the state, and they would come down on them. Mike Fasano told me that he felt like if this was happening in these large numbers with a local dealer here in Florida, they would have already been shut down or suspended. That's why he raised the concern yesterday of why that hasn't happened with Carvana. Now today, the day after he does that, and the day after he got the director of the Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles on the phone, they have filed this administrative complaint. So it does look like they are moving forward. What's going to happen with that complaint, though, remains a mystery.
Can you just imagine how bizarre it must be to have a car in your driveway like this Sentra and have it, you have it, but you don't have the piece of paper that says that you own it? It's just a very bizarre thing.
Yeah, and I want to dive into that a little bit, JB, because a lot of people don't realize what that means. They think, okay, well, you don't have the piece of paper, but you know that you own it. The problem is if your temporary tag expires, you cannot legally drive your car. And that's what happened to the woman who owns that Sentra. She is a paramedic, and she needs that car to get to work. She had to rent a car, even though she had to pay for this car every month. She bought this car in March. She had no car to drive to work because her car was illegal for her to drive. It's crazy.
It is just crazy because you're forking over a whole lot of money to get the car and really one very important piece of paper that says that you own that car, and you're not getting it. Let's get to some of the comments that are coming in, and hello to YouTube. A lot of folks joining us like Kay Morris, Real Gamer, Weather Watch, Romulan 2469. Hello to everybody joining us on YouTube as well as Facebook. And I want to take a comment here from YouTube. A lot more to talk about with the story, but first, MM2020 on YouTube. Now I'm wondering if I shouldn't sell my car to them. I literally just got a quote this morning. #KJB. Now, Shannon, the only problems that you've uncovered, and correct me if I'm wrong, is with the acquisition of the titles. Selling the car to Carvana hasn't really presented any problems that you've uncovered in your reporting, correct?
I will say that is something that we are currently investigating. We have not had a story on that yet. I'm investigating that now because all of these people who have cars, like the woman that we interviewed yesterday, that she doesn't have the title. Well, that car has to be titled to someone. So where is the title? Whose name is it in? That's part of what we're tracking down. It's still unclear why they don't have the titles, because they should have the titles before they sell the car. So, 8 months later, not having the title, there's certainly a hiccup there, and we're trying to find out why this keeps occurring. Again, they should have the title before they sell the car. That car has to be titled somewhere to somebody.
It's not like, so I want to make this clear because I think that there's some confusion out there when it comes to this story. More folks, file in your #KJB questions and comments. We'll animate them here on screen. But I have one for Shannon here. It's not like Carvana is like Scrooge McDuck with a bunch of car titles in a pool, and he's Scrooge McDuck jumping in every night into that pile. It's not that they're sitting on all of these car titles, correct? Where is the problem originating from? All these people that are contacting you saying that they don't have the titles. When you talk to Carvana, what do they tell you as to the fundamental issue here as to why the title isn't being passed from them, or at least the person that they acquired the car from, to the purchaser of said vehicle?
Well, I want to be clear. Carvana is not saying much of anything to me. They're not answering questions.
They're not responding to your inquiries for communication.
They're not responding to our questions about where the titles are. They have responded periodically to stories that we've done promising to help those individual people. But what they do is, in every case I've uncovered except for one, there's been one person we did a story on that got their title. Every single other person, they end up buying their car back. And that's what's happening with Trisha Bailey that we interviewed yesterday. They have now offered to take her car back, and they said they would null and void the contract as if this never happened.
Right.
But the problem is that she traded in a car like most of us do.
Yep.
And her car's gone. So they can't give her car back. So now they're saying that they're going to give her another car, let her purchase another car. At first they said she would have to pay more money because the car prices have gone up.
I was going to
She
say,
was upset about that. So now that we have uncovered this and asked them why they were doing it, and Mike Fasano reached out to the state and to Carvana on her behalf, they have decided to let her have another car that she wants and not charge her more money. So again, in the state's eyes, it will look like that this has been resolved, that Trish Bailey's issue has been resolved, but it hasn't. They just took the car back because they couldn't come up with the title. So that's why we want to know, why are they buying the cars back instead of forking over the titles? They were supposed to have these titles before they ever sold the cars in the first place.
Is there some magic vault of titles somewhere where this is all just getting lost as far as the delivery of the? It's just hard to fathom as to why a person in 2021 could purchase something as significant and as large of a purchase as a vehicle and not receive their title. Let's get back to some of the questions and comments that are coming in. Nancy Demay, on YouTube. Hello, Nancy on YouTube. #KJB. You can't temporarily register without a title, so you can't drive these cars here in Connecticut. And I believe, I'm not familiar with Connecticut, DMV regulations and policy, but when it comes to Florida, I know in Florida you can get that temporary tag. Other states, though, there's going to be different rules per state.
That's correct. Different rules for different states. I know some states only give you one temporary title. Other states give you two, as Florida does, but those are two 30-day temporary titles. You're supposed to get your title within 30 days. They will make an exception in some cases and give you a second one, but that's it. And that's why Trish Bailey cannot drive her car now, because she's already had two, and that's in addition to a 90-day temporary title that she got from Arizona. The reason why it was issued from Arizona is because that's where Carvana is based, and Carvana issues 90-day titles. But we have discovered that people are finding out from law enforcement when they're pulled over that you can't be driving around in an Arizona temporary tag when you're a resident of Florida. You need to register the car in the state where you live.
You got to leave it to YouTube for some amusing comments. Someone saying, T. Jenkins saying, all right, back to horses and carriages it is then, as far as just some of the comments that we're seeing here on YouTube with this story. Let's get to another one. Shannon's got to get going here, folks, because she's got a lot of work to do for our newscast tonight on WFLA News Channel 8 on your side. Of course, your NBC station right here in Tampa Bay, Florida. But let's get to this one from Mark, #KJB. If there are states that are dealing with the issue and it's not just Florida, is there something that can be done nationally about this? And I don't know if this has risen to the level of something of really the federal sort of radar, so to speak.
Well, it's interesting that Mark brings that up. That is something that we're working on for our story tonight. I can share with you that when I spoke with Mike Fasano just moments before this stream started, he mentioned that the director of the Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles told him two things. One, that they had just filed an administrative complaint that I now have my hands on. Two, that they had filed an administrative complaint of some sort with the federal government. What I don't know yet is which branch of the federal government, who did they file the complaint with, and what that complaint is. I have requested that from the state of Florida. I'm waiting to get my hands on that, and as soon as I do, I will bring that to you in our report tonight at on WFLA.com and at 5 o'clock.
How about this one that just came in a moment ago from, let's see, I want to make sure I have this correct. Yeah, it's Diane Edwards. Just a little bit of disbelief from Diane here. How would the person buying a car and not having ownership in their name be able to get insurance on the vehicle? My understanding is that you have to have the plate and ownership in your name to get insurance. This goes back to temporary tags.
Yes,
correct?
yes, and that's a very good point. You can get the insurance with the temporary tag at first if you buy the car and you don't have the tag yet, but they're giving you a leniency, and we've spoken to quite a few people in this situation that their insurance company is now calling saying, if you don't register this in your name in the state of Florida immediately, we're going to drop you. So when people have gotten that call from the insurance company and they've reached back out to Carvana, and then we reached out to Carvana on their behalf, then the state of Florida has either issued them another temporary tag so that this doesn't happen, or Carvana has bought the car back from that individual so that it doesn't happen. But you're exactly right. You have to have it registered in your name in order to have insurance long term.
A couple more here from YouTube and Facebook. For YouTube first, Weather Watch on YouTube. Hashtag JB, my good buddy from National Car Rental says Carvana's fleet is nearly half of rental cars. And then Michael Keene, hashtag JB, do they actually own these cars or are they stolen cars? A lot of people trying to figure out that with Carvana moving vehicles around as much as they are and doing so from really a national level. It's not like your local Ford dealer where you have, a Ford dealer that's really just dealing with their primary. Carvana, moving vehicles around quite a bit. I have seen online that Carvana does sell a lot of vehicles that once were rental vehicles, but the origin of these vehicles is tied to, based on the comments that I'm seeing here, tied to why is there no title being delivered upon purchase of the vehicle? If there's no title, then where's this vehicle really coming from? And here's the thing. When you go, I would ask this question. If you go into a car dealership, Shannon, one of my first questions will be when I look at a used car, and the car that I bought about 2 years ago now is used. I said, who was the previous? I knew it was one owner. I said, who was the previous owner of the vehicle? I just want to know a little bit more about the history of the car. Like, I want to know where this vehicle was, and I knew that it had one owner before it. So when you buy a car online, are you finding that same level of transparency with where the vehicle originated from, what it was used for, so on and so forth? There's just a lot of questions here about where these vehicles are coming from and the history behind them.
Well, when you buy a car online like this, there's not a person that you can talk to, although I'm sure they have, a
services,
chat service. But you can do a Carfax, and you should do, a Carfax or something similar to a Carfax, where you can get the history of that vehicle, and it'll tell you things like how many owners, how many miles, all of those sorts of things. But the people that we've done the stories on, even I have some connections over at Carfax for reporting purposes, and I've called them to ask for Carfaxes on some of these vehicles. It does not tell you who owns the car or who owned the car previously. It just tells you where that car, what state that car was in. I know in Trisha Bailey's case, she says that Carvana told her that her car came from an auction. We don't know where that auction was. So was the car owned by another individual when she purchased it, or was it already owned by an auction company perhaps that auctioned it to her, or to Carvana who sold it to her? So it's unclear, again, where these cars originated from, but we know Carvana is a huge company. They're selling all over the nation. They're getting cars from various places and bringing them to various places. So yes, they have the vending machine, but in most cases, people are not, putting their money in a vending machine and getting the car. They're ordering it online, and then the car is delivered to your driveway. They're doing huge volume.
Magically appearing. Carvana, of course, I'm very curious to see if Carvana is going to respond to Shannon's reporting, especially now that we have Florida filing this complaint against Carvana legally. We'll see where this goes. Shannon, our viewers will be able to catch you tonight on WFLA News Channel 8 on your side, your NBC station here in Tampa Bay. What are you working on, and where does this go from here?
Well, that's what we're working on, is what this administrative complaint means. I'm digging into that. As soon as I get off here, I'm digging into that more. I know from the administrative complaint that was filed in the Jacksonville area that we've already reported on, they were fined $6,000. They were allowed to settle that case. But as these cases pile up, and it's usually $1,000 per count, and I glanced at this during this stream, and it looks like this administrative complaint is 8 counts, so that's 8 people. We've reported on way more than 8 people. So it's unclear if this means that they'll settle for $8,000, or does this mean that the state will hold their feet to the fire a little bit more on this? Because since it's the second time they've had to file an administrative complaint, they could suspend their license, they could put them on probation, they could fine them, they could do lots of different things. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but hopefully the state will be looking into this more and looking into what's happening in other states. Maybe the attorney generals can get together with other attorney generals and try to find out what the root cause of this is, and hopefully the folks at Carvana will figure this out, because they do have a very good platform that's done very well. It does very well with investors. I've talked to a lot of people that have purchased cars through Carvana and had a great experience, and sold cars through Carvana and had a great experience. So hopefully this is a hiccup that they can figure out, but they need to figure it out quickly. It should not be hurting Florida consumers.
Yeah, and not getting your title for 8 months and having to it's just something that, of course, is on our radars here in Tampa Bay. On the radar, of course, Shannon Bankin of Better Call Bankin on WFLA News Channel 8. Hey, Carvana, pick up the phone. Give Shannon a call. We just want to figure out exactly what's going on and where these titles are. That's the big mystery with this story. What's happening to all of these titles? Hopefully, we're going to find out at some point in the not-too-distant future. Shannon Bankin, folks, you'll see her tonight on WFLA News Channel 8. That does it for us here on stream. More on this story, click on the link in the description on this video on social media. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you'll find the link in the description on the video. Click it. It'll take you over to WFLA.com. You can read the very latest and look for Shannon tonight on WFLA News Channel 8. I'm JB Buno. We'll see you next time here on WFLA Now.